Hello and welcome to the show. We start this week's Failrace episode with Rickert on GTA 5. Now, they are messing around with an AI. We've all done this at some point. You can freak out the AI in GTA 5 and you can, well, generally get them to drive around a bit like a lunatic, which, is funny enough to do. And especially on the motorway, this bit here, the AIs, can get up to relatively decent speed. So, as they are trying to bully the Oracle decides to drive over the club and goes for a big old tumble down the road. It's actually a very, very big crash for the Oracle. Very surprised that it managed to figure out a way to climb over the club, but either way it did, and then it just carries on its merry way. It was not fazed by the fact it went for a flip. It's lost its fenders, or at least a fender. I don't know if it lost anything else in there. It's just not fussed. I mean, it's still whizzing along a bit like a lunatic, but just not fussed about going for a roll. Speaking of rolls, Mystic Zombie is up next on GTA 5. They are doing one of the bounty missions. There are people, trying to stop their vehicle, so they are shooting them off of their bikes. Sensible enough, reasonable enough idea to go for. This person manages, the dead body manages to launch the van. That's a lot of rolls. That is an awful lot of rolls for the van. I don't know whether a combination of the body, those sort of like big steps on the side of the van, I'm going to hazard a guess they might have caught on the body or something, bit of a funky hitbox. Either way, impressive number of rolls. Matthew's up next on Cyberpunk. They're just minding their own business, sat in a little bit of traffic when a car just launches it up the inside and plows into everything. I'm going to say that's not, it's not quite how you're supposed to drive. Still Guns is up next, also on Cyberpunk. So they are going to be following Pan Am, who has, not really got on their motorbike how they're supposed to. No, what they've done is managed to phase through the floor. Now, the player doesn't quite know what to do. Well, sets themselves on fire, not quite sure what to do. Wanders a little bit forward. Pan Am then gets on their bike, goes at warp speed into the player and knocks the player off. It's, It's not a helpful one. It's not a helpful one at all. Hand 2 up next on Need for Speed Underground. They are leading the way. I mean, they're leading the way of this race quite handily. They get things wrong coming over a bump. Amazingly, go for a complete flat spin, barely losing any time. Don't crash into any traffic cars. I mean, you can't really get much better than that. If you were going to have an accident, that's about as good as it gets. Star Days up next on WRC Generations. It's coming up towards the finish line, where I think they were aiming to crash into the sign. I don't think they were expecting the actually very impressive backflip that they got from the car there. Yeah, I wasn't expecting a backflip like that. We move on to SnowRunner next, and for once, it's not the truck doing strange things with physics. Oh no. Instead, what decides to ignore all sorts of physics is the trailer. It starts bouncing around, and that's very jelly trailer, and then it chucks everything that it was carrying off. I don't know what upset it. I don't know whether it got caught on a rock somewhere, but I've never seen a trailer wobble in that manner. Very, very bizarre. Alice is up next on American Truck Simulator, and they have managed to get things a little bit wrong. Now, they're trying to rectify the scenario in this one, trying to recover the trailer, and they just about get it, but they turn a little bit too much. They've turned a little bit too much. Now the trailer clips on the other Arco barrier, and the physics engine's decided, nope, enough of your shenanigans, you're falling off a bridge. I mean, a little bit of an over-exaggeration from the game's physics engine right there, I think, but entertaining nevertheless. Wolfstar is up next on Assetto Corsa with a Ferrari that's had enough of racing. It's just gone. It's just pinged itself out of the track. So it's a bit too much on the inside, clips the curb, goes for a big roll. I think it's a 550. Goes for the big roll. As it touches the bushes, it is just catapulted out of the circuit. Is at 300 kilometers an hour. Not the craziest speed we've ever seen, but it is one hell of a launch. 2-stroke from me is up next on Assetto Corsa with the Viper not having a good day. Something in the background has a very similar crash. I don't know whether it was a Viper or not, but yeah, we're at Le Mans. There is a curb causing issues, and I mean, yes, on Assetto Corsa, it very much will roll if you are a little bit too aggressive. The Viper, I mean, it's just trying to go to the inside, and it's enough to send it over. Pretty innocuous curb, to be honest, through there. But it lands on its wheels and amazingly can carry on and everything. But yeah, I mean, it's not a necessarily crazy high curb, but it was enough to upset it. We stick with Assetto Corsa. We're at the Macau GP circuit when things go very weird for a touring car. It brushes the wall, which, let's face it, happens a lot at Macau. And in brushing the wall, I think it bends a wheel underneath, and then the physics engine just freaks out. This is during the same race, different part of the race, and it was a different car, but a similar outcome, and it's another spin around wildly and ping into oblivion for this one. So yeah, got a little bit too much understeer, brushed the wall, physics engines decided to roll it and then launch it. This one, though, gets to about, I think it's about 17,000 kilometers an hour it gets to, something along those lines, before it finally stops. And finally, we have a nice window on iRacing with what starts off like a very normal crash at Pocono for an Indy car. It's unfortunate, but, you know, a fairly normal accident. However, as the game is trying to, like, quick repair the car, it keeps doing it in awkward places, so it keeps the crash going on. It starts bouncing around upside down, ends up back on its wheels, and then we're going to spin around in a circle in the air. For reasons I don't fully understand, it fixes itself, but it's still having an accident, and then it eventually just gives up and resets. I'm not 100% sure what was going on. It all started so normally, and then it stopped acting normally. But there we go. That is going to be it for this episode. As ever, if you have clips you'd like to submit, you can via a Google form. There'll be a link to it in the description of this video. And we do indeed need more clips for this series. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.